Hi Tenfold, my name is Kamohelo, and I would like you to help me with this question.
Let's check out this question. It says, given the data set below, and we're given a whole bunch of numbers, but we also notice that there is a variable or two in our data set. It says if the mean is 270 and the interquartile range is 180, find the values of x and y. Okay, we're also given this box plot. Now, if you know how a box plot works, you know that this value down here is the minimum. This value over here is the first quartile. This is the median. This is the third quartile, and this is the maximum number. Okay, so to interpret this, we know that quartile 3 is x and quartile 1 is y. Okay, so that's some information about x and y. Now, what we drill when we have variables that we need to find, remember guys, if you have a certain number of variables, you need to have a certain number of equations in terms of those variables to solve for them. So if I have two variables, like in this instance, I have x and y, I'm going to need two simultaneous equations to work with. So let's see what they're going to be. The first one, we're going to be working with the mean because we were given that it is 270. Secondly, we're going to be working with the interquartile range because remember, interquartile range is equal to Q3 minus Q1, which in this instance is equal to x minus y. But remember, they gave it to us as 180. So that's one calculation or one equation that we can already work with, this equation here. So in terms of interpreting the mean statement, we basically need to find the average of all of these numbers and find an expression for x and y. So remember, the mean is equal to the sum of all of those numbers divided by how many there are. And I think there are 14 here. So we're going to have x plus y plus the sum of all the numerical values divided by 14, and that is going to give us 270. So what I'm going to do is get out my calculator and add all of these numbers together, all of these numbers along this row. Okay, so I'm going to have 150 plus 300 plus 250 plus 270 plus 120 plus 80 plus 700 plus 500 plus 200 plus 220 plus 110 and plus 420. And we're going to get it to an answer of 3,320. So remember, all of these numbers added together plus x and y, which are the two numbers that we're trying to find, divided by the total number of numbers that we have there is going to give us the mean. Remember, mean is equal to the sum of all of the numbers divided by the number of them. Okay. So, further working with this equation, if we multiply both sides by 14, we get x plus y plus 3,320 is equal to 270 multiplied by 4. And that is going to give us, multiplied by 14, not 4. Multiplied by 14 is going to give us 3,780. Now, if we continue to solve for x and y, we're going to have to subtract 3,320 from both sides. So we're going to get 3,780 minus 3,320. And so, x plus y is equal to 460. And that is our second equation that we can work with. Okay, so this was equation 1 up here. This is equation 2. Now, because we have x minus y and x plus y, it makes sense to try and express one of the equations in terms of one of the variables and then substitute it in. So for this equation, I'm going to write it in terms of x. So I'm going to say that x is equal to 180 plus y, because if we take the y to the other side, you add it. Okay. So now we substitute this into this equation. So wherever we see an x, we substitute 180 plus y. Okay, so we have x, which is 180 plus y. Plus y, don't forget that there's still a plus y on this side, is equal to 460. So that's going to give us 180 plus 2y is equal to 460. And now if we subtract 180 from both sides, we get 2y is equal to 460 minus 180, which is equal to minus 180 is 280. And so if we divide both sides of the equation by 2, we get that y is equal to 140. Okay, so once you get to this part, guys, don't forget, if you've solved for one variable, remember, if you're working with simultaneous equations, you need to go and solve for that other variable. We found y, but we need to find x. So now all we have to do is substitute this value for y into one of our equations that we found in the first place. So let's do that. I'm going to use this equation over here. X plus y is equal to 460. So we found that y is equal to 140. And so if we manipulate the equation, we know that x is equal to 460 minus 140, which will give us 460 minus 140 will give us 320. So up here, we now know that this number is probably 80 over there. This is y, so it was 140, as far as I can remember. 140, this number here is 320, and the max would be 700. Obviously, to find the median, you would order them and find the middlemost number. Okay, so remember, guys, the main thing that I can draw from this type of question is obviously remember what mean means. It's the average of all of the numbers. Remember your interquartile range and your 5-number summary, but also when you have a certain number of variables, if you're going to use equations to solve for them, you need the same number of equations as the number of variables. We had x and y, which means we needed 2 different equations in terms of both of those variables to solve for them simultaneously.